Hello everyone, Jeff the Green Review here. The greatest success in controlling weeds combines cultural, mechanical, and chemical methods. An ounce of prevention is safer than an ounce of herbicide. So good cultural practices create safer landscapes. Cultural weed controls are based on having the good plants so healthy that they outcompete the bad plants. Proper culture includes using the right plant in the right place, good planting techniques, good soil, timely watering and feeding, and then controlling insects and disease problems as they show up. For lawns, it also includes proper mowing techniques and a high mowing height. Bare soil will produce weeds. Covering bare soil with either mulch or good plants will prevent many weed seeds from sprouting. Many weed seeds need sunlight and warmth to germinate, so a layer of mulch that keeps the soil cool and shaded prevents them from growing. A 3 or 4 inch layer of organic material will not only prevent seeds from sprouting, it'll also decay into a beneficial soil amendment. The most effective organic weed killer is hand pulling the weeds, or using a hoe to cut the top off from the roots. While many perennials produce lots of seeds, they also have extra carbohydrate storage organs to make it through the dormant season. They may use these organs for vegetative reproduction. Bulbs, nutlets, rhizomes, runners, stolons, and tubers store energy and have buds that can produce new shoots and roots. Hand pulling weeds or chopping them with a hoe may actually spread plant parts that can produce new plants. Soil cultivation works best on small weeds, disturbing as little soil as possible. Soil that is turned over brings weed seeds to the surface, where sunlight and warmth can cause them to sprout. Rototilling larger weeds can spread roots, rhizomes, and stolons. These plant parts may produce even more weeds. So what's this mean to me? The key to winning in weed control is persistence. Imagine every root and storage organ as a carbohydrate bank. When you cut the top off the plant, reserves from the bank are called upon to grow a new top. If left alone for a few weeks, the new top will photosynthesize and start producing more carbohydrates, so it can refund the bank and the plant will be as good as new. However, if during those first few weeks you cut the top off again, or spray it, more reserves are removed from the root's bank's carbohydrate supply. Again, if the new top is left alone long enough, the plant resupplies the roots and it wins the battle. But if you're persistent and cut or kill the top again and again, the bank will be empty and you will win. Another, what's this mean to me? The best time to kill all weeds is at the seedling stage. At that time, it's easiest to pull and easiest to kill with chemicals if desired. If you miss the seedling stage, the next best time for annuals is as soon as possible to prevent seed production. The next best time for biennials is during the first year, as it stores food in the roots, or in the active growing time at the beginning of the second year. For existing perennials, the second best time is as it sprouts in the spring or as it begins to bloom, so it's moving a lot of nutrients through the plant. Another, what's this mean to me? Spraying chemicals on weeds in a forest reserve may not sound like a good idea, but it's often the method of choice for controlling invasive weeds. A lot more plants can be sprayed in an hour than can be pulled by hand. Just like in a war, there will be some innocent casualties. A few good plants will be hit, but most will not. The remaining good plants will be able to fill in the gaps left by the dead invasive plants. Herbicides are chemicals, and while very effective, may also be thought of as the control of last resort. Rather than looking at herbicides as the first tool for weed control, gardeners should determine why cultural controls are not working. Relying on chemical controls does not get at the root cause of why there are weeds in the first place. Herbicides can be selective or non-selective. Selective herbicides kill only certain groups of plants, typically monocots like grasses or dicots like broadleaf weeds. Non-selective herbicides kill all plants and are able to keep out plants from areas like around the base of radio antennas at airports, someplace where you don't want any weeds to be growing at all. In farm fields, some herbicides are applied before planting and are called pre-plant herbicides. A pre-emergent herbicide is applied after planting good plants and before weed seeds start sprouting. They can be applied to existing flower beds or lawns. Post-emergent herbicides are applied to existing weeds and work best when the weeds are small and actively growing. Herbicides can be applied in granular or liquid form. Some are designed to kill the portion of the plant they come in contact with, and others are translocated into other parts of the plant. Contact herbicides are effective on annual plants that have all their meristem points above ground. The damage can often be seen within minutes or hours. Biennials and perennials may be burned by chemical herbicides, but they may come back up from the roots. These herbicides can damage thin-barked young trees as the herbicide damages the green tissue it contacts. Many contact herbicides have very little soil residual, which is good because it goes away faster and can't harm plants by washing away. And it's bad because it can't affect new plants as they sprout. Herbicides that translocate are moved to all plant meristems, even ones underground, so they are more effective on biennials and perennials. The damage may not show up for several days to a couple of weeks. Damage is done at the growth points in the plant, so it's less likely to cause damage when accidentally applied to the bark on young trees or shrubs. Knowing at what point in the life cycle a weed is easiest to control makes all controls more effective. When using herbicides, weeds coming from seeds are easiest to control with pre-plant or pre-emergent herbicides. Annuals near the end of their life are not worth spraying, so post-emergent herbicides need to be applied before they begin to bloom. Biennials should be sprayed before their first frost during their first year, or as early in the spring of their second year as possible. Perennials are best controlled as seedlings, but after that, when they're actively growing in the spring. Another good time is when they're producing flower buds. The plant is actively growing, using stored food reserves, and water is moving quickly throughout the plant, so herbicides will move quickly throughout the plant during that active growth phase. So what's this mean to me? The soil temperature range necessary for seed germination varies by species. Pre-emergents work best when applied just before a weed species is due to germinate. Pre-emergents don't last forever, and if applied too early, they will not be available through the entire germination phase. Annual crabgrass seeds begin to germinate when soil temperatures 4 inches below the surface reach 55 to 60 degrees for 7 to 10 consecutive days. And new seeds continue to germinate for weeks until the soil temperatures get up to more than 90 degrees. At the same time that crabgrass begins to germinate, dandelions, forsythias, and redbud trees are beginning to bloom. So don't apply pre-emergence on a calendar basis. Wait until the soil temperature reaches the proper temperature. If you don't want to measure soil temperature, watch for forsythias and redbuds to bloom and apply the pre-emergence at that point. And this is Jeff with the Green Review. Thanks for watching.